Welcome back into the film room, guys. I'm your host, Eric Turner. It's been a couple of weeks. As you can see, I'm on the road. I don't have the normal digs here, Anthony. Not in the studio. I'm not in the Turner studio for the next month, but we wanted to, bring you guys another film room. And so we're trying to make the best of it. So bear with us if we do have some issues, some technical difficulties, because we're trying to make things work. But Anthony, Merry Christmas. Thanks for joining me in the film room again, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me back as always. And yeah, we missed a couple episodes or so as you were traveling and having to do real life stuff. But this is a kind of a silver lining for me because your background is always so awesome and on point. And this one is still good, but I feel like I've won the background battle now. I feel like mine wins. So
you won up to me this time for
good.
Sure.
Appreciate it. I feel like if you should move to that hotel room and we should do this all year round because I'm feeling pretty good about myself. But no, we got some good film, and it's nice that we could find the time and the means to record this and put this together because there's some good stuff that came from this Bills-Panthers game and some important things to note from a Bills perspective as we start to move forward, hopefully with a push towards a division title and a playoff run for the Bills.
Yeah, it was a good matchup. We're going to focus on the offensive side of the ball for the Bills. 31-14 win against the Panthers. And it was a slow start, but they did, come out on top, and the offense looked good for a good majority of the game. But before we get to the film and talking about the game, some news dropped today, some pretty big news that's going to affect the Bills Patriots game this weekend, a big divisional matchup. So why don't you let everyone know what dropped today, man? Because it was quite the bombshell.
Cole Beasley was put into COVID protocol today, and then because he's unvaccinated, he is out for 10 days, so guaranteeing that he is out for the New England Patriots game, which I know he's been banged up at points this year, but when healthy, and as he's been healthier over these last several weeks, he's a really integral cog of this Bills offense. He does so many things underneath and in the short and intermediate, and he presents a consistent mismatch opportunity. There are several plays that we're going to look at tonight that just he's not even the focal point, but if you look at him like away from the play, just what he's doing is just so on point. And that's a big loss for the Bills. Now they do have some other horses who can potentially run and mitigate that loss a bit, but especially against a team like New England, who based on how they played the Bills last time, and if they run man coverage again, if they're running more single high safety like they did in that Monday night game, having Beasley underneath is a big boon for the Bills, and not having him is a big advantage for the Pats. So unfortunate news, but life goes on. You got to adjust.
Right. And so, I mean, obviously we still don't know the status of Emmanuel Sanders. Obviously he's a guy that I think, given, the trust and rise of Gabriel Davis and really solidifying his role on this offense, almost so much so you can't take him off the field.
For sure.
Seeing where Sanders is health-wise, that's pretty important. I think if Sanders is healthy, I think the transition of putting him in the slot is really kind of a natural progression given Gabriel Davis's role in this offense.
That's part of the reason why having Sanders added was so nice, because he can kick inside. He has plenty 100%. Of experience with it. Like it's not like he's a fish out of water there. He's very comfortable in that role.
Right. And he can do all those same things that Beasley does in the slot of reading coverages, sitting in those soft zones and voids. So yes, paying attention to him and his injury is very important. But I also think that, this game, as you'll see in some of the film that we're going to break down tonight, McKenzie's role is quite important. And it's kind of like last year, man. It's starting to pick up and really gain momentum, and how important he is on just those jet sweeps, those fly sweeps. And if he is in the slot a little bit, he does open up some things because he has that straight line speed, and, he could pull some coverages. So seeing, that slot position this weekend and how it develops with the injuries, and, who fills that role of Cole Beasley and how they just pick up the pieces is going to be really important. So again, against a team like the Patriots, who, they always game plan. We saw it, early in the year, they always game plan to bracket him, Cole Beasley, and to do what they can to take him away, especially in those 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 5s and 6s, that 3rd and short and mediums. Cole Beasley is a big part of the offense in those critical situations.
Yeah, and we've seen so many times on 3rd down, you mentioned it, like his ability to find those voids and find those soft spots in the zone, or his ability to beat man coverage, or he is, I don't want to say the king, but he is one of the leaders in working those option routes and being on the same page with Josh Allen. And so you mentioned it, like New England will opt to take him away a bit and give him some bracketed coverage to limit the options that he has, limit the space that he has, squeeze that window. And we've seen games where things have been tough for the Bills defensively, and even with man coverage. The Miami game, the second one in Buffalo, is a prime example. Things got rough, and they just leaned on Cole Beasley that second half and took advantage of the mismatch. And at the very least, that's a weapon you do not have in this game. I think if Manny is healthy and he can play, it mitigates it a little bit, but there's no question about it that it's an unfortunate loss for the Bills given the role that he plays, and especially given the importance of this game against New England and given how they play defense and what they try to do against the Bills. So terrible timing. But I mean, I feel like that's also kind of selfish to say, like, at the end of the day, this dude's got COVID. I hope he's healthy and him and his family and friends and loved ones are okay. And we're over here being like, he's sick. How does it affect what we're going to do on offense? And how do we game plan against New England? So this is like a dude's life that we're also talking about. So hopefully he's okay. But from an on-field, from a pure on-field game perspective, it's definitely a hit.
Yeah, especially if the Patriots, can shut down the run game, and you need that extension of a run game. You see those zero blitzes, and Josh loves to go to those screens to extend, as an extension of the run game. Those RPOs, I mean, those
which
are
we
real
need
important.
because we are not tremendous at running the ball, and even if we were, we want to get the ball in Josh's hands and allow him to air it out and stretch the defense, even if it's horizontally with those RPOs and those little bubble screens and glance routes and all that. Beasley's so good. He's so good. There's a play we're going to look at tonight where it's the scramble for Josh when he runs for like the 20-something yards and he breaks through Burns and he gets downfield. The Panthers run man coverage, and Beasley hesitates a little because his defender has inside leverage, and that little hesitation, then he pops out and he just has so much green grass to the sideline that he creates. Josh can't get to it because he's pressured, and you're not going to pick up on that really, because at the end of the day, it's a Josh scramble and a big run, but Beasley it was a really smart, heady route. It's unfortunate he didn't get the ball, but it's all those little nuanced things that he does consistently. So it sucks.
Yeah. And, you talked about a pressure play from the game, and let's kind of dive into some of Josh's stats, courtesy of Pro Football Focus. And, early on, yes, the Spencer Browns of the world, they struggle, kicking him out to the left side. He struggled a bunch. I thought in the first quarter and a half, they struggled as an offensive line, as a unit, which is expected when you have, Feliciano out and you're bumping guys, a rookie right tackle out to left tackle, putting Williams back at right tackle. There's a lot of moving pieces. And we can see here, Pro Football Focus had Josh under pressure 51.3% of his dropbacks. So of the 39 dropbacks. So he was under pressure a bunch. Now, of course, part of that's Josh, and he held the ball for, I want to say overall 2.93 seconds overall. And then it was like 2.69 from snap to attempt. So he holds on to the ball. They ran play action. I think it was 41% of the time. That factors in a little bit. So, but it was pretty obvious, as you'll see on some of these clips, that, the offensive line did struggle, rightfully so, because that Carolina front and that defense, they work really well together. Phil Snow, the defensive coordinator, is a creative, aggressive coordinator. And then he's just got some horses up front in Brian Burns, Reddick, and many others.
Yeah, that's such a piece that I feel like gets lost in it when you focus on like one team that you're a fan of. Like, I feel like everything is always like focused on your team of like, we didn't do this or we did that and so on and so forth. And you focus that like internally. And I feel like people don't look enough to the other team and like, okay, well, why did we do this or why didn't we do this? Yeah, 1,000%.
They get paid too.
They do. They are also a professional football team that you are playing against with coaches and everything. They also want to win. And the Bills line, it's no secret, they've struggled this year, especially going into a game where, as you said it, you're shuffling so many guys along the offensive line. You have a guy in Spencer Brown who's so raw and has great upside, but shouldn't be starting right now at this point in his career with how raw and inexperienced that he is. And he's more comfortable at right tackle, but he has to go to left tackle. All those things with the shuffling for the Bills offensive line puts them at kind of a disadvantage against anyone, let alone, like you said, a team with horses up front. Burns and Reddick are so good. And Burns is having like a down year coming into this past game against the Bills because he's only like 25th amongst edges and pressures, and he only has 8 sacks, and Reddick has 10.5. Like, and they're kind of having down statistical sack years, but they're still crushing it. They still do so many things. And then you move to the second level, Shaq Thompson is still playing good football, and Jeremy Chin and the secondary. Jeremy Chin is a stud. Gilmore, as much as Bills fans don't like him, is still a good corner. CJ Henderson's playing good ball. You mentioned it offline, like their offense is just kind of a dumpster fire and struggling, but this defense is a very real unit, and you got a team that's strong up front in Carolina versus a Bills offense that is not strong up front, and it has the high potential for mismatches, and we saw that early on in this game, like you mentioned.
Yeah, if you look at Pro Football Focus's true pass set, those are passes like that aren't play action, just straight dropbacks, and no help. He's got a 6.3 grade, which
I know we don't
us,
always
we don't, but
grades, but that's
funny. That's funny. I don't even know how that's possible. Keep in mind, grades start at 60, so your average starter is going to start at 60, and they go from there. So I don't know how that happens.
I feel like if you put me at left tackle, I could get at least a 10.
Yeah. I mean, like, you would think you'd be able to trip and get a 10. Like, I don't know. Either way,
like when you do the SATs, like you get 200 points just for doing your name. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think they settled in as best as they were going to, but I also think Dable did a great job, as you'll see on a lot of these plays, of, using a tight end to nudge block, the chip, the check release. I liked how they used the running backs, mainly Singletary, plug in that A gap, kind of right in the gap. You know what? We're not having him at depth when we're in shotgun. We're going to stick him right in the A gap. So if Thompson, Chin, or any of those guys shoot that A gap, he's got him. He's meeting him at the line of scrimmage. They didn't leave it up to chance. And I thought they did a good job of keeping the defense off guard. They used, again, McKenzie on those jet action plays. I thought they did some creative things to get that aggressive, fast. You heard Josh Allen talk about in his post-game presser how fast that defense is. In order to slow that team down, they can't just play fast if they have to process. And I thought they did a good job of, again, using tight ends, running backs on the edges, so that, the interior guys could just worry about, the interior gaps. And then, then those guys would release into routes if no one blitzed or whatnot. So I thought there were some good things done by Dable, and just schematically of slowing their processing and play down with some different things. So what were your overall thoughts on just the game plan, man? Because, we talked about it leading in. The Panthers defense, they are really, really good.
Yeah.
And it was a good test for the Bills offense.
Oh, for sure. This Panthers defense coming in was 10th in DVOA, defensively 6th against the pass, 21st against the run. But again, like, the Bills offense isn't built to run the football. So you're kind of going strength against strength, passing offense versus passing defense. And as you mentioned it and alluded to, I liked what the Bills did on offense. I thought their action with McKenzie and multiple personnel looks and formations that they had on offense did exactly what you said. Like, they slowed down the Panthers defense mentally, or at the very least tried to. Like, this is a defense that is fast physically, but plays fast mentally. So trying to slow them down was key. I even liked some of the runs that they did by trying to take advantage of Burns and Reddick getting upfield, maybe trying to put that in the back of their mind, like, okay, I can't just come flying upfield on every single one of these snaps. They ran at Burns and Reddick with several gap runs and some pin and pulls, and just trying to, do like that, the kind of old proverbial stuff with going against a faster, smaller defense. You run right at them. You try to make them hesitate. You take advantage of their speed, try to use it against them. And they executed a fair amount of that against Carolina, and that's why they put up the points that they did. But I think it's what's more encouraging is, again, we see another game where the Bills have diagnosed weaknesses and strengths of an opponent and then curated a game plan in order to try and take advantage of that and put points on the board.
Yeah, and so we're going to start off the film portion of this with an empty set here. It's the first quarter. It's 3rd and 15. And as I said, I thought the first quarter, the offensive line and really just the offense was just out of rhythm, which is not abnormal for this year. But this was 3rd and long, and that's just something against this type of defense you can't be in. And this is where Josh Allen was sacked. He even fumbled it. And Spencer, thank God. This could have been a different game right off the bat, because Brian Burns had a shot to scoop and score here. So thank God that, Spencer Brown was able to get back in the play. It's a tunnel screen. They're trying to set up McKenzie right here over the middle.
Mhm.
And you're going to see Burns just doesn't commit to his rush, and he doesn't rush upfield. He actually reads, the offensive line, Bucker
Great play.
and Morse peeling off. And so he blows that play up. Josh holds it. Here comes Reddick off the edge from the bottom. And you see him get a good piece of him, and the ball is fumbled. And again, from the end zone angle, you'll see it. The Bills are lucky here because this could have been 6 points quite easily. And again, taking the momentum, taking the crowd out of it, and put the Panthers on the board with their defense, which is what you don't want to do, especially with how bad their offense is.
Yeah, you do not want to give Carolina a short field, especially with how their offense has been, and then with the kicker injury to Zane Gonzalez during warm-up, so they were already at a disadvantage. You do not want to give them any sense of belief or any ounce of momentum to start this game. And very lucky that Spencer Brown got on this ball. Like you're looking at it right now. Like this was prime scoop and score territory. I know Burns is. I feel bad for Burns. Like yesterday in the film room for Carolina. Like just he knows you got to get on that ball, and that's one of those ones why everybody always yells like, "Don't try to scoop and score. Just get on the ball," because sometimes you overrun it and then the ball stays with the offense. So lucky break for the Bills that there's literally like 3 Panthers all around that ball, including a big right in Burns' hands, and he just can't come down with it. But good on Spencer Brown getting on top of it. And again, this harkens back to what we mentioned before we started showing the film in this episode. The Panthers got studs up front, and that's just a simple play. Brian Burns, a smart, heady, elite play from an elite pass rusher, sees what's going on up front. It is like, no, I'm not getting fooled by that. He peels off, gets in the throwing window. Reddick blows by Darrell Williams, and it's just a really simple play where an offense's game plan is wrecked by the play of literally 2 dudes. And that has the potential to happen when you got studs up front like that.
Yeah, and talking about dudes, this next play, we prefaced it and at the top of the show, Gabriel Davis and his role.
I love how you've labeled it like Davis is different. I love
he
how
is.
that's
He's
what
just
it is.
totally different than everybody else at on this receiving core. So first quarter, this is a 1st and 20 situation at the Buffalo has it at the 14-yard line. Still in the first quarter. Again, a short pass, 12-yard pass versus zone coverage to the top of the screen. You're going to see Beasley and Davis, which with a switch release, and all they're doing is they're switching positions here and just spacing out the defense. And you see Davis just, run a little curl or stop route just inside the numbers. But I want you to watch the DB. The DB breaks on it, and he's breaking on the inside shoulder. But because of the size and physicality of Gabriel Davis, and you'll see him from the end zone angle, he attacks the ball with his hands, and that defensive back cannot work through him because he's so big. Now, if this is Beasley, if this is Sanders, even Diggs to a certain extent, that DB is probably making a better play on the ball, especially at the catch point. But because Davis is different, you see him reel it in, and he starts to get the offense on track.
This is another play where over the last several weeks, we've seen the literal like body type of Gabriel Davis be an advantage for the Buffalo Bills. We've seen it in the run blocking aspect. We've seen it in play action. And here we see it just in the passing game, him being able to kind of do the proverbial boxing out of that defender, coming back, makes a really nice hands catch, reaches out, stabs at it, grabs it, brings it in, uses his size and his length and the physicality that he can operate with. And that, again, that's a good corner. That's CJ Henderson, who hasn't had the career that I feel like a lot of people tabbed him for coming out in the draft, but Carolina traded for him. He's still a good corner. He's got some length to him. And I think you nailed it spot on with the smaller receivers the Bills have, Sanders, Beasley, Diggs. With Henderson's length, he could easily get through the hands there or get a nice chop, and that's an incompletion. But because of Davis's body type, he's able to reel this in. This is also a nice route from Davis from like a technical standpoint and from a heady standpoint. He runs it right at the marker, so he makes this catch and it's a first down. There's no wasted movement really when he breaks and he starts to gear down. He'd only take some 3 steps, and really the third step is kind of like a pivot and a turn to get square to Josh Allen.
Shows his numbers,
yeah, 1,000%. He shows his numbers. He gets square. So there's not a lot of wasted movement. He doesn't tip his route. He doesn't run a lazy or a rounded route to allow CJ Henderson to gain any leverage upon him. It's a really nice technical piece from Davis, who has shown a lot of that nuance in his game with this being his second year.
And I want to add, that Davis's size and his ability to pluck the ball out of the air is very important on this play, because if you watch Bucker, this guy gets driven right into the face of Josh Allen. Josh is not really able to step into this. This is almost like all arm, and the release is kind of high. And again, I think he's, kind of anticipating there, but he's not able to step into that because the guy's in his face, and that ball is a little high. And like I said, I think Davis's size and his hands and his hand strength was incredibly important on that play. And we're gonna
look where he catches that. Like he's up a couple inches off the ground and he's already like a big dude. That's a legit like go up and get it type of catch. He's not like,
and he's kind of leaning. He's leaning to the middle of the field too, right? Like you can see him. He's protecting the ball. He's putting the ball in front of him and his body in between him and the ball. So this was a really good play from Davis, one that probably won't get the shine that it deserves, but this is what separates Davis and why he is going to be very difficult to take off the field in this offense going forward.
Yeah, if he continues to add this type of polish to his game, along with the intangibles that he already possesses, combined with the physical element that he adds and what he can do in the running game, it's hard to make a case for him to not be on the field for a majority of snaps.
Yeah, another guy that you pretty much, he's earned his way onto the field. He's had a up and down career is Dawson Knox. And this is a play we broke down a few weeks ago from the Saints game. Yeah. And this is still the first quarter, but it's that 3rd and 2 situation. Brian Daboll said it's those gotta have it plays, those gotta have it moments, that are on your play sheet. It's a 3rd and 2 at the 42-yard line of Carolina, 1:10 left in the first quarter. And this is a 15-yard gain on 3rd and 2. Again, the deception of this play, and I know SIS charts this more times than not as a RPO. But this in essence is, it's just a little play action pass, but you see the sleight of hand. They pull I think it was a right guard or right tackle there. It's the right tackle. They pull Williams to the top of the screen and suck everyone in. Josh puts the ball on his hip and then rolls out. And the best part about this, you'll see it from the end zone angle. So Knox is blocking and then kind of releasing. Well, what happens here is Knox caves in the edge there, which is important because that's Hassan Reddick. So if he doesn't block him and basically put him to where the ball was snapped from on the left hash, there's a chance that Reddick can pressure Josh and not allow him to run it or pass it. But from the end zone angle, just watch how far Knox, caved in the edge of that defensive line, and especially number 43 Reddick there. And so it's not as clean as it was in the Saints game. He's actually more towards the middle of the field, but you have Josh Allen already, 5 yards outside the hashes, and he's rolling to his right. He's got Gilly out there. He's got the third safety out there as well. And he's able to, because of his arm strength, throw all the way back to the middle of the field, which is a big no-no.
Yeah,
but,
so you never should
Knox, secures a pass on another gotta-have-it play that they come back to it later.
There's two things that, three really, things that I love about this play. One, I like how, you mentioned it. We saw it in the Saints game. We've continued to see these deception looks with both Dawson Knox and Gabriel Davis. We have another one from Gabriel Davis later in this game. I really like these calls. It just takes advantage of the defense. And then Knox's block, one, the quality of it, two, the fact that it's on Hassan Reddick. Like, you literally take someone out of the play and do not allow Reddick to influence Allen whatsoever. And then right there, if you leave it paused, he caves in Reddick so much, he then has to release inside of Tommy Sweeney. And then he's athletic enough to get through the hole. He has a little jump there, and then he turns, he gets upfield, uses his athleticism. This play is a nice example of what Dawson Knox ideally can bring to this Bills offense. A big, physical, athletic tight end who is successful out in the passing game, but who also can be used in line as a blocker. That's a tremendous weapon. The Patriots, with Gronk and Aaron Hernandez, had an offense that was unstoppable at times because you had two tight ends that could run any route and who were fast and athletic and big, but who could also run block and pass block. And that type of versatility, you just don't know what's coming. And this is an example of it here. Like, this look screams run. The pulling tackle screams run. Dawson Knox caving down screams run. So everybody's like, all right, cool, it's a run. And then he executes his block. He releases athletically inside of Tommy Sweeney, and gets out in space and good. Like, yeah, you can see it here. Carolina
They're
is
gapped
selling
out.
out 1,000%. They are gapped out. They are ready to penetrate and attack everything that's in front of them. They are not going to allow the Bills to get this first down. They come off the ball hard. Everybody caves down. Shaq Thompson's scraping around on the outside. Burns comes crashing down. Chin is in position. Look how many defenders. You've got 3 second-level defenders that you highlighted there. In addition to Burns, you've got 4 defenders that are all on the wrong side of the field, all committed to the run. That's not happening. And then Gilmore's eyes upfield at Allen. The third safety's eyes upfield at Allen. Nobody's paying attention to the sneaky Dawson Knox, who's coming behind them on the second level for a really nice gain. And again, on a 3rd and 2, those are the plays, those are those have-it plays that Dable talked about that you mentioned. Like, you need to win those down. You need to be good in situational football. That's a nice win in a situational piece.
Yeah, and here's a red zone situation, second quarter, 1st and 10 situation, ball at the 16-yard line, top of the second quarter. Bills are in shotgun, and again, using some eye candy right here with McKenzie from right to left on the screen. This is the 16-yard touchdown. Beautiful pin and pull run with a down block from the right tackle, Darrell Williams, and really the tone-setting block by Dawson Knox, as you'll see on the linebacker, a number 4 there. So you get 2, down blocks or nice blocks at the point of attack. You get Cody Ford, the right guard, and of course our boy Mitch Morse pulling. And you're going to see Reddick, number 43, kind of take himself out of the play here just by getting too far upfield. Not that he did anything incorrect there. He forced the ball back inside, but that allows Mitch Morse to get up inside and pick up the third safety here. But take a look at Dawson Knox climbing to the second level and just cutting out the linebacker Pratt there. And that really allows, look at this alley now. I mean, beautiful. This is just beautiful
Singletary
stuff.
cuts right off it and he's gone.
Yeah. And, he gets in there for 6. This is something that the Bills need to keep on running and, using that eye candy with McKenzie, because look what McKenzie coming across the formation on this jet sweep here. Watch what it does to one of the best defensive players on that Carolina Panthers defense, and Shaq Thompson splits that defense right in half. I mean, Spencer Brown is scooping to the second level, and he's supposed to be walling off Thompson, but look what he doesn't even have a job to do, really. Now, Thompson gets back into the play near the goal line, but it's too late. Motors in for 6 points.
And you mentioned it right there, like Thompson gets back into that play near the goal line. Imagine if he isn't moved with that action. He
falls right in.
1,000%. Yeah, maybe he makes the play at the 10 or around the line of scrimmage or at the very least around the 5, and it's not a touchdown. This play with the action from McKenzie, you pointed out Shaq. It also moves Jeremy Chin over, the safety right there, number 21. He has to respect and honor that. It doesn't allow Brian Burns to crash down. Just a really good action. You mentioned it splits the defense in half almost, and we talked earlier about plays that try to take advantage of what Carolina does. And I love what you pointed out with Reddick. He didn't necessarily do anything wrong, but the Bills took advantage of him trying to get upfield, and they used it against him. It allows for Cody Ford to get just enough of him for Morse to fit inside. And man, I watched this a bunch and just kept replaying it in slow-mo because it's beautiful. Dawson Knox's block is beautiful. Even Darrell Williams, the way he pins and seals, turns his man completely. Like, there is such a picture-perfect alley. Like, this is how you draw it up. The fact that Spencer Brown gets to the second level and is basically just like, I don't like, who do I block? Like the like the John Travolta gif from Pulp Fiction, where he's just kind of like looking around because he doesn't have anybody, because the action worked and fooled the defense, and then the execution on the gap run worked. These pin and pulls, we've seen a lot of them, not a lot of them, but we've seen a decent amount of them be successful throughout the year, including last week against Carolina and the week before against Tampa. When the Bills have been successful in the running game, it's been with these type of runs, because you can take advantage of the athleticism that Morris and Spencer Brown have up front, and even Darrell Williams sometimes to a degree. But it's nice to see them maybe have some kind of thing that they can hang their hat on when it comes to the run game.
Especially it works and maximizes Motor Singletary's, his strengths, his ability to, press and then cut back, which is his strength. It's very similar to 2015, 2016 with McCoy. Like, the Bills tried making him a zone runner. He wasn't quite it at that stage in his career. So what'd they do? They got in shotgun with Tyrod, and Gillisley was there as well. They were running those pin and pull runs in that Roman Anthony Lynn system, and they put up a ton of touchdowns. in that portion of Shady McCoy's career. So yes, I do think they need to, and they've run it from under center too, so that is a good thing. And in the second matchup against the Patriots last year, it's something that they ran a bunch of. So hopefully they can start to hang their hat on that and kind of piggyback it with some of the RPOs, which we did see in this game. But here's another play that is a staple in the EP system, a staple in Brian Daboll's system that he brought over from the Patriots. And again, you're having that jet action from the top of the screen, so right to left of the formation in the second quarter. 1st and 10 situation, ball on the 43-yard line of the Bills, and a 10-yard pass to Dawson Knox. Knox was in man coverage against Chin here. So you see Bills are in a 3-by-1 set to the top of the screen, and they're bringing McKenzie to the bottom. They run a little play action with the left guard pulling. That moves the jet action, moves the third safety right here, sitting in the box, gets him right out of that hook to curl area. The pulling guard from left to right, from the end zone angle, you'll see, holds and moves the inside linebacker. And then you just have a nice soft spot in this coverage right here for Dawson Knox. Again, this is a staple. We saw Brady run it the other night up at least 2 or 3 times to their tight ends. And from the end zone angle, though, and like all that's fine and dandy. But if this throw's not placed where it is, Jeremy Chin, given his size, his length, and athleticism, he's probably making a play on this over route from Dawson Knox. But because Allen quickly gets his head around, gets his feet set, and then places it kind of high and away like that right there, you can see Chin cannot, and he's right on that back hip.
He's fully extended.
Able to make it. Yeah, not able to make a play on the ball.
No, we saw the interception from Chin in this game, and we saw several plays from him where he was just right in step with Dawson Knox and with guys that he was covering. Again, he's a really good safety. He's a really good player. I think he's someone that people don't really pay attention to because he's on Carolina, and Carolina doesn't really get shine unless it's Cam Newton or Christian McCaffrey. Look at that ball placement from Josh Allen, high and away, just like you said. And again, that's high and away to a big tight end like Dawson Knox. So he's putting it right where his man, the proverbial, where only his man can get it. Chin is fully extended. He is right on top of Dawson Knox. Like, if they're both not jumping, they're almost like belly to back. Like, they are so close. Chin is right there with him. And also, so the ball placement is great, right? It's a really nice contested catch from Dawson Knox, catches it with his hands, brings it in as Chin is draped all over him, trying to rip through. And this is my favorite part. You highlighted it right there. When you highlighted that safety or that, box defender, I love this action because that's the window where the ball gets thrown in. And the reason the ball gets thrown in that window is because of the jet action from McKenzie. And then the linebacker there, number 4, you highlighted him too. He slides with Why? Because he has to honor what the action that he's seeing in front of him, the flash of color that he sees from Bodker. Then he sees the play action also through that to Singletary. He's lined up, head up. And at this point, he's already done because Knox is going to cross behind him at that second level. It's a really nice, well-designed play. We have seen several of these this year in this game and in a multitude of games where the play design is just really good. It's just like almost how you draw it up. Like when you're teaching this as Brian Daboll, when you're doing an install, like you're literally going to be like, okay, if we get this coverage, like Isaiah's going to go in motion here, that's going to draw this defender out. What we're looking for is the middle linebacker to go with the pulling guard and read run. Dawson, you're going to slip in behind. Josh, you make the throw in the vacated zone. Let's go out and practice it. Ready, break. Like that's literally what happened. And
it's beautiful, man.
So good.
Let's move on to the next play. And this is something that I honestly haven't seen Daboll do all that often, especially in the red zone. So I labeled this play sequencing. So we're in the second quarter. It's a 1st and 10 situation. Bills have the ball in the red zone at the 14-yard line of the Panthers, 10:32 on the clock. And this is Singletary just with a meager 3 yards on this play. But I want you guys to pay attention to the 2 deep safeties and how the defense really aligns and plays the formation and routes by the receivers. So 2 receivers at the top of the screen. Bills have an extra lineman. Ryan Bates is basically an extra lineman here, a tight end to the bottom of the screen with, I believe that's Sweeney as well, kind of in line. So 2-by-2 set. But they have Davis stacked behind Diggs to the top of the screen, and then he motions to the bottom. And you're going to see the safeties still stay, 2 deep. And to me, it looks like a quarters coverage. And you see Josh call an alert here, and they run a duo call, which I know you weren't that, much of a fan of how this play broke down, but it is important for the next play. But I want you to watch what happens first with, Gilly and Diggs right here. And again, this was an alert call. So Josh checked to this run, but you're going to see Diggs run a deep over. You're going to see Davis push crack to the safety because it's a run. So technically Diggs is supposed to push crack to Chin right here. And then Davis is probably push cracking right here with the dual run up the middle. But Diggs straight up runs a route. And afterwards, Davis looks at him. He's like, hey, dude, look, he called the alert. He points to his helmet. He called the alert. You're supposed to be blocking here. But
I love that. I love that he called him out for it.
Yeah. That's how, he's way beyond his years. And Dable said that this week. But obviously, you saw Gilly run with him. This looked like a zone coverage based on the pre-snap indicators of Davis moving. It looked like, more of a zone coverage. But in the end, you saw Gilly kind of follow him. But this is important because, and you'll see it here. Here's Chin and number 31. I forget his name, but they're basically pointing at each other like, hey, because they have a run gap in what looks like quarters coverage, but this was not a good run play, right? We see
stop showing it. There's such a
combination right here. There is, and Brown's not able to hold his block here, which is why Singletary only got 3 yards. But I'll move on from that play, specifically because I don't want you to get too hung up on it. But
it leads to something great.
It does. Next play. It does. So this is the very next play. Exact same look, but they have 2 tight ends now to the bottom of the screen. Second quarter, 2nd and 7 now. So they just got 3 yards. But again, the way I coined this was it was Brian Dable and the staff taking advantage of the, short-term memory of the Panthers. Hey, we just showed you this play. We ran a specific play for that. We're going to show you the same exact movement and basically presentation. But then as soon as, Davis moves and
look at
Josh sees the same thing, you see him go right to his alert. So he goes to pass here, gets in the shotgun, puts Motor Singletary to his right. Now the Bills have, again, a 3-by-1 set to the bottom of the screen. So the ball's on the right hash. They have 2 tight ends to the left of the formation. Now Davis is down there. But this is important because now, as I said, it kind of looked like quarters coverage. That's exactly what happens here. But they have Diggs so tight to the line of scrimmage. Again, ball on the right hash. Diggs is probably like 4 or 5 yards split off the right tackle. Gilly looks like he's in, press man. So it's probably some sort of press man or press quarters, kind of like what D'Antonio and then those guys from Michigan State used to do. But that's important because you got three eligibles to the bottom, only 1 to the top, and then the running back in the backfield. But with the ball in the right hash, Josh knows that, he alerted to that call and the tight spacing and then the back shoulder pass is going to be very difficult for Jeremy Chin to get to if it's on, in rhythm, on time. And that's exactly what happens on this play. And again, great play sequencing, and the throw's not even perfect, but Diggs is able to reel it in for the touchdown. I just love this sequencing by Brian Dable.
Yeah, it's such a great example of, okay, this is what the defense just did on this play. Let's run a very similar look, slightly different personnel because Bates isn't in there anymore, and you have the traditional 2 tight ends. But let's give them a similar look with a similar flow, similar feel, and let's see what they do this time. And you nailed it, like that sequencing back to back. And I wish the throw was a little more outside, but it still gets the job done. Diggs gets the ball. But what's so great about this too is the adjustment and the read from both Allen and Diggs simultaneously, regardless of, this is also one of those things too, where people always talk about like, oh, he's a zone corner or he's a man corner. But like at any point, eventually like zone becomes man, like at some point, like you have to cover your man like that, regardless of if this is too high and man coverage or if it's quarters, like whatever. The way Diggs runs this route and his understanding with Josh Allen, they basically isolate a one-on-one matchup with Stephon Gilmore, with how Diggs sets it up with that jab step inside, opens up Gilmore's hips, and then Chin is over the top, and he's fast, he's athletic, he's rangy. You cannot give him an opportunity. You marked him right there. You cannot give him an opportunity to influence this throw whatsoever. Diggs doesn't allow that with the quality of his route. Josh doesn't allow it with the throw. And it's a nice way to basically take a defender on that side and Jeremy Chin and make him effectively useless because of the look and the action you get from the play combined with the understanding of Diggs and Josh on what kind of route and throw combination needs to happen here, given what they're seeing in front of them. And Gilmore stays over the top. Diggs pops those hips and turns. And Allen, again, it'd be nice if we put it a little more outside, but it's a touchdown at the end of the day. And we got 6 on the board. And Diggs is pumped. This is the one where he looks into the camera and like flexes hardcore.
Yeah, it was an awesome play from the two of them. As you said, they were on the same page. And talk about trust, man. Like Diggs versus Gilly, like this is that time where like you have to trust your players. It's not always about the X's and O's. Sometimes you got to just go, hey, you got one-on-one, you got one guy on you. Don't worry about that, too high safety. Like just beat him. I'll throw the ball to you. He didn't, and Josh Allen did not blink, man. He got it right to him. So let's move on into the second quarter, closer to the end of the quarter. We got 3:31 on the clock. Another money down situation, 3rd and 3 situation. Another perfectly placed pass from Josh Allen to Dawson Knox. Knox once again matched up versus Jeremy Chinn.
Poor Jeremy Chinn. He's just always like so close.
and this is what I liked about, kind of what Dable did. Again, you have Knox. It's an empty set, and they're motioning Diggs from the top of the screen where the 2 receivers are, and they kind of stack them because it's man coverage, and they want to get it to Diggs here, but Gilly does a great job getting in a trail technique and taking Diggs away there. So Josh had to move on from that, and you'll see it better from the end zone angle. But what I liked about this is, again, you have a guy right here. I believe that's Gabriel Davis kind of getting a piece of the edge rusher here. Same thing with Knox to the bottom of the screen, get a piece of the edge rusher there and kind of nudging him inside. And then they get into the routes. Like that's what this offensive line needs to get those guys in position so that Josh can push the ball down the field. They do a great job there, and you're going to see Knox and Davis running the mesh concept, 2 shallow crossing routes versus man coverage. And Josh, hits him just past the sticks, or right at the sticks. I'm sorry. And again, the end zone angle is really where the play. You'll see how perfectly placed this ball was from Josh Allen. I mean, you really can't ask for a better throw here. And look what those 2 guys, Davis and Knox, do to the edge here. I mean, look what they do. They totally help out those tackles there. And then here comes Knox from left to right on your screen. Josh Allen is able to, again, throw it high and away. Like, look at that pass. It is just beautiful from Josh Allen to Dawson Knox.
I like the adjustment from Dable with the alignment to be like, okay, let's help our offensive line out a little bit by having Davis and Knox hipped off right there and be able to influence the edge rushers. So 1, that's really nice. And I like the mesh concept against man coverage on 3rd down. That's all solid. But this is all, about the throw. And Josh doesn't even really step. It's, again, this is another like arm talent throw where he just kind of pivots. He opens up that hip a little bit. He's standing straight up, like he's got his shoulders open to the throw. But this is all arm. He doesn't step into it. He doesn't get any really like too much lower torque. He's still able to kind of bring that back leg through enough to get some momentum, but a lot of this throw is like 70% arm, and he does that. The move that he's done before, it looks like he just kind of flicks it out there.
He did,
and again, similar to the play we broke down earlier, where Chinn again was in man coverage on Knox, the one with the McKenzie motion that moved the second level defender out for Knox to fit him behind him. We get another throw high and away. Put it where your guy can get in, where the defender can't. Again, this is almost identical to the play before. Jeremy Chinn is, again, like belly to back right there, fully extended. He reads the play. He's in good coverage. If this ball is thrown anywhere other than that spot, there's a good chance Jeremy Chinn's knocking it away. And again, this is another example, contested catch. Look where Chinn, oh dude, we're in sync right now.
I got you.
Look at where Chinn's arm is. Like he put his arm, so for those just listening, Chinn is he tries to jump through and affect this throw. Dawson Knox is reaching up, catching this ball with his hands. Jeremy Chinn puts his arm through Knox's arms and tries to pull on his like left bicep and rip his arm down and influence this catch to cause the incompletion. Doesn't happen. Knox stays strong at the point of the catch, which is something that's really nice to see because we've seen him struggle with catching the ball at times. Everyone knows that. So this is a contested catch, and it's an athletic catch, and it's a good, strong hands, body, like type of physical catch, because you got a really good defender who's trying to rip through you and rip this ball out, and Knox doesn't let it happen. It's a really, again, it's only a first down and like a 3-yard gain on a 3rd and 2. But one, it moves the sticks. It's good situational football. And it's another example of how the Bills have some guys who can just win given how they're able to operate.
Yeah. And this is, that 2-minute drill right before half, 45 seconds left on the clock. Ball's on the left hash in the second quarter, 1st and 10 situation, ball at the 45-yard line of the Bills. This is just an 11-yard pass from Josh Allen to Gabriel Davis, really just kind of like a 10-yard, 11-yard speed out to the bottom of the screen. But I like, first of all, look where Motor Singletary is set up. Ball in the left hash, 2x2 set, but Motor Singletary isn't just to the left of Josh in shotgun. He's up like a yard and a half closer to the line of scrimmage because the Panthers are mugging the A gap. So as I said, they put their tight ends and running backs and even wide receivers, Gabriel Davis being that quasi tight end, as you saw in the last play, put those guys in position to, hey, this is where they're going to send the guy. And if they do, we're going to have you there now. We're not going to, mess around and have you try to fit the guy up in the A gap. No, we're going to put you up the middle. If they do bring that guy on this play, the Panthers send basically a creeper pressure right here, I believe right here from the bottom. The slot defender comes, I'm sorry, it's a 5-man pressure, but palms coverage on the back end. And you're going to see the outside receiver, Gabriel Davis, just run the out pattern. And Josh trusts his protection, trusts that everyone's going to pick up their guy. He's accountable for that 5th guy coming from depth. He stands in there, anticipate. You can see him already starting his delivery as Davis is snapping his head around. And the toe drag swag, as you'll see from the end zone angle from Gabriel Davis, which is really his calling card.
Yeah, he's made so many catches like this dating back to the playoff game against the Colts and this one. And he's had like a smattering of them throughout his career. And it starts with that Singletary look in the backfield. I like it,
Versus Chin.
1,000%. Like Jeremy Chin lines up everywhere. Like he can function as a middle linebacker at times. And here he blitzes from an A gap pressure look, comes through. Singletary gets enough of a piece for him to hold him up. And that's a nice proactive thing, right? Like you mentioned, instead of being like, okay, you're going to line up next to Josh, you're going to read it, you're going to fit this block. No, they're proactive. We're lining you up right here, right off the get-go. Here's your assignment. Boom, execute it. It's nice to see Josh be able to have confidence to stay in the pocket. We will see several times in this game. He had some moments where he bails a little too early from the pocket, and there are some routes that are going to come open. But it's hard to blame him with what he's seen this year. But he bails from the pocket a little too early. This time he doesn't. Stays in the pocket as a defender's barreling down on him. Steps into the throw, makes it, and another high and away throw where your defender can get it. Don't allow the corner inside to be able to influence this. Again, this is C.J. Henderson, a corner who has some length, who can influence a deep out like that. Really good hands catch from Gabriel Davis, gets both toes down. Like, just again, another smart play. He doesn't waste a lot of motion in the route as well. He pops outside really quick. It's a nice, quick, and crisp route. Gets to the sticks, first down, extends, athletic. Like his calling card, the toe drag swag where he's extending and just getting the twinkle toes down. Really nice play, and nice that we were able to have a couple where Josh is able to feel comfortable enough to stand in the pocket and not bail too early.
Yeah, and this is one of those plays where Josh kind of missed it, dude. So 3x1 set to the top of the screen. You have like a trips bunch, a little spread out just a little bit though. Ball in the left hash. Still in the second quarter, 1st and 15 with the ball on the 37-yard line of the Panthers with 31 seconds left. So this is an incomplete pass, but one that I think if you look at the diagram, it looks more of like a cover 3 beater, with Diggs kind of running like a shallow blaze out to the bottom, and then you have like double post to the top. But Josh has to simply get rid of the ball right there. Right there, you see him kind of panicking here because he sees the edge rusher looping inside and Reddick from the right side of the formation to inside there. But all he has to do is stand in there and let the play develop, or just get rid of it. Just get rid of it to Beasley there. It's not really a good play call versus the coverage, but get rid of the Beasley, dump it down to Singletary if you have to. But he kind of panics here and tries running out the back of the pocket, which is something that he's gotten a lot better at not doing. But he kind of ran into pressure area, ends up throwing away. So one of those plays that you had just mentioned.
Yeah, he's got Bees. He even has Diggs briefly. I think you pulled up the end zone angle now. I think what he sees Reddick loop inside on the stunt,
Yeah.
and I think he thinks that he's going to come free. Which, I mean, honestly, after what happened against Tampa, I wouldn't blame him for thinking that.
Right.
This is
And you got
eerily,
Cody Ford at right guard working
yep,
with Williams on that, loop. You see Reddick coming right here
yep,
into that A gap. So to the right of Morse. So yeah, I mean, again, I don't blame him. And we all know when Josh
hmm,
sees a guy lose contain like that, I mean, these are the big plays right here. Like
yep,
those are the big plays where he can
off
get outside
script.
the pocket. But I will say Ford struggled early, but he does a decent job with his power of picking up Reddick right there. And see, there's a nice pocket there. If Josh had just maybe just slid a little
Yes.
bit, it didn't take much.
And I think that's the really unfortunate thing about it. Like, I don't blame Josh for bailing because the spiker, Morgan Fox, I believe, right? 91.
91. Yep.
Yeah. He does a really good job spiking. And initially it looks like right there, like, Reddick's coming free. But Ford peels off. He gets a piece, uses his power, like you said, and you get that nice pocket. But at this point, Josh is already skittish and is like, no, this guy's going to come
Yeah.
free. I got to bail. And we'll see that there's another couple points in this game where it's happened. Um, and it's unfortunate when it does, especially when there are some things that are going to develop. But what makes it more frustrating is, again, like, I don't blame him for thinking that Reddick was going to come
Yeah.
free, especially with what has happened up to this point in the game where he's been pressured with 4-man rushes and with some blitzes. So fair, but unfortunate because he had a couple routes coming open that if he can just hang in the pocket, he's got them like the play before.
Right. Right. And so we're going to fast forward to the third quarter now. 3rd and 8 situation, ball on the 28-yard line of Buffalo. 14-10 on the clock. Bills are in shotgun. Another 3-by-1 set. 3 receivers to the top of the screen to the wide side of the field. Again, Motor Singletary to the right of Josh, but again, a yard and a half up into the B gap, it looks like. And then a solo receiver digs to the bottom. But the only reason I really highlight this play, not just because of the explosive scramble by Josh Allen, as you see when I let it roll, but I want you guys to pay attention to what the defense is doing
Oh,
versus this
I
formation
love this.
versus 3rd and 8 situation, because this is the same coverage that the Bills are going to see on the touchdown to Gabriel Davis later in the game. So this, again, top of the third quarter, 3-by-1 set. And what the Panthers are showing is a single high safety look, but they spin out
Mhm.
to a 2-man type coverage. To the bottom of the screen, you're going to see the third safety drop out underneath in the trail technique onto Diggs, and then you're going to see Gilly drop to the deep half. So it's more of
Mhm.
like a 2-man rotation here. And again, one that Josh saw Reddick at the top of the screen kind of loop inside, and Josh saw a nice little edge there, but there's a nice twist. But
Mhm.
he, dropped his eyes and got upfield, broke the tackle of Brian Burns, and gets upfield for 26 yards. And here it is from the end zone angle. Awesome play. Very tough quarterback to bring down, even if you are Reddick, even if you are Brian Burns. You see the twist on the right side of the screen, and Josh reads it all the way, drops his eyes, and he splits it. But here comes Brian
Mm.
Burns right down the line of scrimmage, screaming unblocked down the line of scrimmage, but it doesn't matter because the Bills have Josh Allen. He covers the ball up and then breaks that tackle. And then, he adds a little spice at the end of this one with a little shake right there on number 31.
Yeah, nice little juke at the end. I love how disappointed Burns is when he misses the
Yeah.
tackle. Like, he looks up and sees that Josh Allen keeps running, and you can see him literally kind of go like, oh, and he like punches the ground because he knows he should have had. Oh yeah, he hits the ground so hard,
Yeah.
looks up, and is like, oh, he's still running. Damn it! And he just puts his face into the ground because he's
Crushes his
upset.
morale.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
just
that's 3rd and 8. I mean, he's
yes.
converting 26 yards on 3rd and 8.
And it's not even like Burns has him. I don't want to say dead to rights, but close. Like, he's screaming down the line. He has the angle. He just doesn't get. He gets his shoulder and 3/4 of his body behind Josh Allen instead of getting
Yeah.
it in front of him to take him down. So he doesn't form up on the tackle there. But that's a really nice play from Burns, right? Somebody who is rushing from technically the backside now because of how Josh breaks out of the other side.
Yeah.
But Burns just reads it, makes an elite player play of like, okay, I'm not going to get through on this stunt. Let me read, scrape across. Oh, and he's right there. Really unfortunate for Burns, but very fortunate for the Bills and a nice run. I really liked what the Panthers did there, rotating to that 2-man.
Yeah.
with Gilmore. And actually, can you go back to it one more
Yep.
time from the sideline angle, not from the end zone angle? This is the Beasley route that I was talking about earlier. He sees the man coverage that he has, and watch how he comes out, just hesitates a little bit, makes the defender have to honor whether or not he can go inside or outside, and then he breaks out and just has so much space there. Yep,
Yeah.
you got him highlighted right there. He has so much space because he holds the defender with his route, because with the defender head up on him in man, he has to still honor whether or not he can come inside or outside. Beasley fakes that and sells it a little bit, pops outside, has space. Josh doesn't get to him. But this is the thing, talking about New England that we were talking about earlier with Beasley being out, some of that little nuance and that ability and that refinement
Yeah.
is something that's going to be missing from this Bills offense. You can mitigate it with what Manny Sands can do, but that's something that's not easily replicated by a younger receiver or someone that doesn't have the polish that Cole Beasley has, or even Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah. And here's another play, another really nice play
This one's
design.
great.
Third quarter, 7:29 on the clock. 2nd and 10 situation with the ball on the 46-yard line of Carolina. Ball's on the left hash. It's a 28-yard strike to Gabriel Davis. Yes, Davis is different. So it looks like an RPO play action, but it's a tight formation. They have McKenzie to the bottom of the screen with Diggs, but they have their stacked formation with a tight end in the backfield to Josh's right in shotgun, and then Motor Singletary behind the tight end. So it's a stack formation. Bills love running their RPOs and their play action passes off of this because you still get that that downhill action when they want to run those play action passes. So luckily for the Bills, Spencer Brown does get downfield a little bit, a few yards, but obviously not called. But the important thing of this, and I highlighted it, you see McKenzie on the orbit motion back behind Josh Allen. So from the end zone angle, it's going to be from right to left of the formation. He comes behind him after, it's a half-assed play action fake, but
super half-assed
because Josh knows, what coverage you're in. It's not a big deal. But McKenzie's action, across the formation really pulls two guys.
Yep.
And one of those guys is, Brian Burns there right out of the passing lane. And Josh is able to hit Davis on that in-breaking route. Again, this is a play and route that the Bills run a ton in their RPO game, and they've gotten touchdowns on this. But a strike, and then Davis doesn't just catch it. He breaks that first tackle from the corner who's driving inside, breaks that tackle, and again he almost breaks that second tackle from the safety there. Tries getting that stiff arm in there, but he's just different, man. I don't know how you're going to take this guy off the field.
I love that you mentioned Spencer Brown in this play, because a huge pet peeve I have is how on RPOs, when the offense goes with the pass, like they never call like a legal man downfield. Yeah. Like they never call it. Like you have him highlighted there. Like that should be a penalty, but whatever, I guess. You nailed it. I love the action. Look at Brian Burns, 53, and then the other linebacker there, number 50. Mm-hmm. They both bite on that McKenzie action. And even like, because some people think like, oh, well, like there wasn't a fake to McKenzie or he doesn't have the ball in his hand. The defense still has to honor what he could do coming off that motion. Maybe Josh is going to kick it to him on a swing pass. Maybe he continues upfield in the wheel, something like that. You have to honor that. And then you highlighted it just a minute ago with that alley. Those two dudes, Burns and number 50, they vacate. And now all of a sudden you have a very nice throwing window wide open, similar to what we saw with the Dawson Knox contested catch over the middle earlier in this episode. You use McKenzie to get a defender to vacate their zone, and then you throw it where they no longer are. So really good design, really good execution. And then it's tough. I love the motion and how it pulls the defenders out. But the run after the catch, it's something that we wanted coming into this season more. The Bills don't get a lot of yards after catch for whatever reason. And Josh Allen talked about it this year, something he wanted to work on. He wanted better ball placement on in-breakers and the intermediate routes to allow his receivers to get yards after catch. And this is good ball placement by Josh. Not great, but good. And Gabriel Davis is able to catch it in stride, be athletic, catches it, hits the ground, gets upfield, uses his skill set and his intangibles, almost breaks it. Oh, he's so close. I thought in live time on the broadcast, I thought he was gone. And then he just gets tripped up. But it's all nice pieces. You get the good play design. You get the execution. You get the good throw. You get the nice read. You get the ability to try and take advantage of a playmaker's skill set and ability with Gabriel Davis. And anytime we see run after catch, it's nice for this offense because we don't get it a lot. And if we have somebody like that, with Gabriel Davis. McKenzie is good with that as well. That's another piece and weapon in this offense that we haven't seen a lot of.
Yeah, and so here's that 3rd and 12 touchdown pass to Gabriel Davis, and again that rotation, that spin to 2-man to the bottom of the screen is incredibly important. Now, Josh did say in the postgame presser when asked about this play that he saw it as a 77 coverage, would basically have it was a 2 safety look where one safety would be doubling Cole Beasley to the top of the screen, and then the second safety to the bottom. As you see Gilly kind of roll out, he would be double covering Diggs here with this defender dropping out. I mean, I can't deny or confirm that, but either way, it sets up the same way. Here's the play here, trip set to the top of the screen. And again, watch Gilly drop to the deep half. Here's the trail technique, defensive back right here to the bottom of the screen on Diggs. And look at the middle of the field. This is why the Bills have to have guys that can go over the middle. You got to have those Dawson Knoxes in the intermediate and deep areas versus these 2 high shells. This is what can win the Bills a Super Bowl with how much too high, whether it's man or zone. This is more of a man look, but these are the plays that are going to win them a Super Bowl if they can. So you see Davis from the top of the screen just running another in-breaking route. And Josh, he almost panicked and almost left the pocket here because he saw Burns kind of spiking back inside to the bottom, but he stays in there. He resets, and here comes Davis across the middle. Those safeties are wide. They're playing kind of that 2 high shell, 2-man over the top of those hit their teammates, and the middle is wide open. Josh resets, and instead of leading him to the middle of the field, that guy, again, you got to think about it from the end zone angle where Josh is thrown from. He sees that guy in trail technique. He can't tell that Davis has maybe a 3 or 4 yard gap between the two of them, that type of separation. What he sees is a guy basically on top of him in trail technique. So he either has to layer the throw it out in front of Gabriel Davis or back shoulder him. And I like his decision to throw it back shoulder specifically because Gilly is reading him and dropping to the middle of the field as that 2 high safety. And it is a frozen rope from Josh Allen from 20 to 25 yards out.
I think this is the one that when I was watching the film last night and I set you timestamps and notes, I just titled it Josh Allen Laser TD.
Laser, yeah.
I think that was it. I love this coverage from Carolina. I love the little wrinkle.
Good disguise.
Excellent disguise coverage. I like that it's just 2-man. I have a respect for teams that are able to play man coverage because it's not done a lot in today's NFL. So 1, the fact that they do it, 2, that they do it with a little wrinkle is really cool. And then, Davis gets to the middle. Jeremy Chin, I believe, he's lined up on Dawson Knox again, man coverage. Yeah. So Knox stays in the block. So Chin just kind of hovers and spies / robs the middle of the field. Then instead of rushing, he doesn't green dog or anything. He just kind of sits and is like, all right, let me read Josh Allen's eyes. So the middle is open, and Josh doesn't get that throw early to Davis in the middle of the field because he starts to bail, like you said, but doesn't. Yeah. And then I love, you nailed it, the real-time adjustment, the ball placement. We saw, with New England coming up this week, that last drive where the Bills lost, we saw some not ideal ball placement from Josh Allen on that 4th down that allowed the inside man coverage defender to peel off Beasley on the over and get a piece of the throw to Gabe Davis, and that caused the incompletion. Bills lose. Yeah. He didn't put it on the right trajectory. This one, he does. Look at where this is perfect. If you leave it right there, right, you've got Gilmore on the left hash. You've got the man coverage defender that is on Gabriel Davis right in his face. And then you've got the other safety coming from the other side of the field. And for those not watching, listening, Gabriel Davis is basically on the first L in the end zone of Bills. His defender is on the bottom part of the L right in front of him. Stephon Gilmore is on the other L coming from his right. And then the other safety is in the middle of the B. So literally Gabriel Davis is surrounded. Allen puts this ball in the one spot that is advantageous to Gabriel Davis. A back shoulder throw to the end zone right over the shoulder of the guy who's in man coverage in between all 3 defenders. And you only get that because of arm strength, because of trust in your receiver, and the ability to adjust in real time. It's really like a beautiful throw. Look at that placement. Like, there's been so many times you said that this episode, like, look at that placement, look at that placement. This one's real good. And those Carolina defenders, right? Gilmore, And the other safety, it's not like they're slowing down or trying to read Davis. They're beelining it. They are full speed sprinting at Gabriel Davis. Josh Allen's arm makes this a no contest for them. He gets it to Davis quick. He gets it to him accurately. Boom, laser touchdown. Oh, just not the way you draw it up, but nice.
Yeah, and you can see I paused it right here as the ball is basically almost going through the gut of Gabriel Davis. But, this is more of a body catch. But see, for people that don't understand, like, yeah, you're supposed to catch a ball with your hands. But in certain situations like this, where it's a contested catch, you may take a big hit. You're in the end zone. Sometimes you do have to catch it with your body to shield the ball and shield, yourself from that defender. So he is... I don't know if he's purposely doing that or if he's just really protecting himself because it was a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. But nonetheless, like, this is not an easy play, an easy catch from Davis. But, man, I could watch this play. It's like the Kumaro throw last year where, like, you could just watch it again and again.
Denver.
Like, he threaded this needle. Like, it's just nuts. And you can tell when Josh really puts some spice on a throw because of how he follows through. When he follows through, and we're looking at from the end zone angle, you see him right there. He let go of the ball. Watch his right leg, watch his right hip, and how he ends. He ends like crossing over. Yeah, it's like, exactly.
Like a pitcher coming down from the mound.
Coming down the mound. Like, he is remarkable. This throw is just, man, this is probably one of his top throws. Again, maybe process-wise, he was a little late on it, dropped his eyes, but these are the type of things that arm strength and this ability can overcome those early, hiccups in a rep. And he makes up for it here. I got to go to the next play because I could keep watching that. Honestly.
We should have just done the film on that one play and just done it for a half hour.
It's bonkers. So the final two plays, and we'll make it quick so we can get everyone out of here. Again, play sequencing, another red zone trip here for the Bills. Twin set to the top of the screen. Bills are in the I formation towards the end of the game here. They're trying to ice it on third down here. And they run just a little lead to the bottom of the screen. But watch, again, what the defense is doing versus this formation. And the sequencing of Brian Daboll is just phenomenal here. So a meager couple yards here on third down. So now they're, you see Jeremy Chin right there. He's like, hey, fourth down. Let's go. So you're thinking, Bills are probably just going to kick it. McDermott's going to be conservative. Here it is from the end zone angle, I formation, just a lead, a little ISO lead here. And they don't get anything. Good stop by the Panthers there, the forced fourth down. But McDermott, Bills are up 24-14 at this point, right? And it's 4th and 2. Same formation. But here's the wrinkle. You see the Panthers, they're stacking, they're mugging all the gaps.
Selling out.
Here's the wrinkle. Here comes Gabriel Davis into the formation right off of Darrell Williams. And what does he do? He's blocking, right? They're running the ball. They run a little power. He's trying to help steal the edge there. And what happens on this play, Anthony? He seals the edge there, and look at the eyes of Mr. Gilmore right here. He is peeking in the backfield, as you'll see from the end zone angle. Here's Josh on the bootleg, and he sealed the game right there. And, you look at it from the end zone angle, the sleight of hand, man. It's something I've always loved about Josh Allen. We talk about it all the time. So he is under center with that I formation. You see Davis come into the formation to help kind of secure Reddick there. And you see 31, the safety, he is unblocked because the right side of the line, Darrell Williams, the right tackle, has to hinge down to help, close that A gap that is now created because of the puller in Cody Ford. But watch the clockwise reverse from Josh Allen. He shows the ball, then look at right there. He keeps it right on his numbers. Number 31 is looking down the line of scrimmage to Singletary.
He's beat.
Doesn't even see the ball there. You see Gilmore is completely lost and toast, of course. And Josh gets outside the pocket and hits him for the touchdown, man. Great play sequencing. And one of my favorite plays that we saw develop this year from Brian Daboll. Last year, it was kind of that pump fake to Beasley, hit Davis on the go route, throw it in the honey hole. This offense is better when Brian Daboll is scheming plays for Gabriel Davis. Hands down. It always works well. I don't know why, but it just, when he's scheming for Gabriel Davis, especially in the red zone, this offense is damn near unstoppable.
It's just so, I don't want to say perfect, but it just takes advantage of looks and versatility that Gabriel Davis presents, especially in the red zone. Like, you've got a receiver who is able to come down. You said it earlier, quasi tight end type role.
Yeah.
And he has the ability to block and execute. Then when you add in the play design and the nuance and his ability to sell, that's such a tremendous thing. It's not like he just goes through the motions and is like, okay, I'm supposed to make it look like I'm blocking and then release. He does not do that. He is almost in perfect rhythm with
Yeah.
Josh Allen. He holds that block and then gets out and releases. Gilmore tries the speed turn, isn't able to work it. And boom, you went back to it there. Davis holds on Reddick a little bit. He sits with him, makes it look like he's actively blocking with him. And Gabriel Davis is just starting to release from his block as Josh Allen is getting to the apex of his full drop out of the play action and starting to really reverse outside. So now Davis is wide open. The defenders have misread this play. Gilmore, it's so beautiful that he's so burned so badly because he's trying to figure out the play from the beginning, like you mentioned, because of that action. One, the play action to Singletary, the blocking of the line, but then the hand action, the magician, little sleight of hand from Josh Allen. Gilmore, as you can see, like he's almost literally trying to like peer into the backfield, like, okay, who's got the ball? What's going on? Then he sees Allen peel out and is like, uh-oh, here comes the run. Let me fire up.
That's his oh shit moment, right?
No, dude, just like what happened to Marshawn Lattimore in New Orleans. And again, that's another point that can't be understated, right? Or overstated, I should say. Gilmore and Lattimore are both really good corners, physically and mentally. They are savvy, good football players. They made Lattimore look foolish and put him on the ground. Same thing with Gilmore right here. Like they took a former defensive MVP and made him look foolish here because of the play design combined with the execution from Allen and Gabriel Davis and really the offense as a whole. It's really nice to start to see these pieces go together because I know how many people have we seen come into the comments of the film room here, or even with myself on Disguise Coverage or on Twitter with, why is Brian Daboll not adjusting? Where's the creativity? Where's the scheming? He's doing terrible this year, all these things. And that's not to say that, he's without fault, because he is, because everybody has their faults, but he's schemed up a lot of quality stuff this year, and especially over the last several weeks. And these plays, I feel like it just gets seen on the broadcast and it's like, wow, nice touchdown. Gabriel Davis is killing it. But there's so much nuance to it, especially combined with the play sequencing of the play before, like you mentioned. It's all these puzzle pieces that they're fitting together and they're Jedi mind tricking these defenses and then executing physically. Like that's really top tier stuff. That's what wins you championships. When you can win physically and win with talent, but also win with scheme, that's a big thing. And that's a legit thing. And I feel like the Bills offense hasn't gotten enough credit for that this year, and Daboll especially. And we're really seeing it hit on plays like this. And they're coming in like key moments. These plays are being executed and drawn up on 3rd and 2, 4th and 2. Pivotal moments where you need to win situationally. So good stuff.
Yeah, man. I'm really excited going forward here, man. I think they're naturally coming together on offense, right? Whether it's because of injuries or us on Twitter complaining. I don't know. It's just starting to come together, and I think it's coming together at the right time. We're in December now. It's Christmas, and
it's taking
this
long
is the time. And some will say, Daboll has been late to adjust. I think in some situations, yes, but I think that over the course of a season, you gotta remember a lot of these game plans are structured in the off season. And so as every week that goes by, you're starting to adjust to the team and how it's gelling and certain things that are working or not working. So things are, it's malleable, it's fluid. And I think just right now you're starting to see, again, McKenzie's role, Davis's role, Josh under center a little more, some of that deception from under center. I think we're starting to see the different facets of the offense that we saw last year when they started rolling teams. So it's exciting, and this game is going to be no different against the Patriots this week. Hopefully we can see a lot of these elements, even with, some of the guys that may not be present. But I'm excited to watch this game this weekend. And I was excited to do this film breakdown, man. It was nice to get back in there and watch some film with you and, kind of go through some things. So with that said, man, where can everyone find you on social media? What shows you got going on this week? I know you have a laundry list of shows and appearances and some pretty good guests lined up from what I hear.
Yeah, I got some pretty good guests lined up. So you can find me on Twitter at pro__ant. That's pro 2_ANT. Find me as the co-host here on the Cover One Film Room. Find me as the host of Disguise Coverage live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Tomorrow's episode, Mr. Nate Tice will be
Nice.
joining me again. Yeah, I'm
Nice.
pumped. He
He's
came on
such a
the
good
show.
guest, dude.
He's amazing. Like he knows his stuff. Like he
Like
played the
grab
game.
paper and take notes. Like
Yes,
he's
a
that
1000%.
knowledgeable, dude.
He's a dude who like I don't want to sound like a prick, but I feel like I'm pretty knowledgeable in the game, and there's not a ton of people I go to like learn from.
Yeah.
He teaches me something all the time.
Sure.
Like he's just so knowledgeable, played the game at a high level, coached at a high level. Mike Tice's son, so his dad was the coach in Minnesota during those Culpepper and Randy Moss years, so he's grown up around the game, like super insightful. And
Yeah.
he came on the show earlier in the year, and I wanted to bring him back for this week because it's such a pivotal game. So we're going to be breaking down a lot of nuances and scheme-specific things for this Bills-Patriots game tomorrow night, live at 7 p.m. on Disguise Coverage. So I'm pumped for that. And then you can find me as one of the 3 co-hosts for the Cover One post game live after every Bills game with Mr. Greg Thompson and Aaron Quinn. The Cover One fantasy show is now done for the years as we are into the fantasy playoffs. So that's one thing that's off of the Workhorse's plate. But yeah, that's where you can find me doing all that stuff.
Oh, good times, man. Again, we'll try to do this next week. We'll see if my internet holds up again. But it was good to get back in the film room.
No. Major kudos to you. I feel like people don't know enough. Like you're away from your family for Christmas time, doing work things that you would rather not be doing, and figured out a way in order to put this episode together that really came about because you basically inconvenienced yourself. So like you deserve a major pat on the back for hell yeah, for just being able to find the time to do this. Like we talked about it off air and leading up to it when we knew you were going to go on assignment there. Like, can we do the film room? How do we do it? And we tested some stuff out last night and figured it out, but none of it is able to be done if you don't make the sacrifices you make. So yeah, major round of applause to you. And
thanks,
well done,
man.
as always. Yeah.
And thanks everyone for tuning in. That's Anthony Prohaska. I am Eric Turner, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We'll see you in the film room next week.